Hey, worship teams, welcome back. Man, we are so glad to have you finally. It's been so long. I mean, we had these Texas floods going on. I'm just amazed that I haven't swum away at this point. If you remember, probably not. But anyway, hey, great to have you. We got a fantastic show. Dwayne Moore is with us, and man, we are excited to have that happen for you. Today is June the 10th, 2015, and you are watching the Worship Team Hangout Season 3, Psalms, Hymns, and Spiritual Songs. Today's topic, Say No to the Egos, brought to you by Dwayne Moore. So we're going to hear a lot about his ego. And coming up, make sure you watch out for June and July. The next few episodes, we have worship drummer John Manna, fantastic dude. He's Canadian, don't hold that against him. He's going to be joining us later on this month. And also Rich Kilpatrick, another great friend, awesome brain and heart. Can't wait for him to come up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right to it. We're going to introduce Timmons. How you doing, baby? Good to have you back.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Good to be back.
Yes, we can finally hear you.
Woo.
All right, good. Tony, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm going to take a selfie with us.
You.
Got the selfie in. All right, awesome. And today we're going to be welcoming back for the second time on our show. If you remember, we had Dwayne Moore last 2 episodes ago, and we had a fantastic talk on leadership. We're going to couple that today with a talk about egos. Dwayne Moore is founder of Next Level Worship. You can find him at you'll say WW anymore, but nextlevelworship.com, a ministry committed to providing quality worship discipleship resources to believers and churches. And he is the worship and creative arts pastor at Valley View Church in Louisville, Kentucky. Dwayne is also the founder of the ASAP Generation, an exclusive community of worship leaders and church musicians. Dwayne is also the author of many books, numerous books, including the award-winning book, Pure Praise, a heart-focused Bible study on worship. And he and his wife, Sonia, have 2 sons, Stephen and Justin. Would you please welcome today, Dwayne Moore. How are you, Dwayne?
Hey guys, he's basically a stud. We did this last time. We went over this, but he's basically a stud. That's all you need to know.
I think him well to say that. We're still talking about egos, and yet I get to talk about myself here. That's a little scary. I don't think that's probably the way it's supposed to work.
Well, but see, I control the camera, so it's only how much you talk about yourself is what
that's right.
Take, so I can do that all day long.
Hey guys, I love being here, and I love what you're doing. I was telling Brandon before we got on the show. Appreciate this. I think this is a great resource for do what we can to help you guys get the word out about this more, because it's really valuable. So I don't know about today. I don't know how much we'll value it. I don't know how much we'll add to it. But I think the guests you have from week and the guys you have every time. Wow, a lot of good wisdom kind of flows through somehow. It kind of gets out of all of us when we get together, and I love the concept.
Who's your favorite? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Man,
it would be.
It's just the best looking. Let's be real honest. This is a fashion show.
It is. Dwayne, thanks for the word, bro. I really appreciate that. We've been friends for a long time, and we were talking earlier. It's awesome to see how God has grown both of our ministries and also just our personal lives. And so it's great to be among friends. Couldn't do it without this guy, Timmons. He's been with us a long time, and Tony has been with us like the longest, and it's just I'm blessed to have these guys, Stephanie and Swift as well. We're missing them today, so we'll have them back in the next episode, but love these guys. They're awesome. Let's go ahead and get to our topic today. We're talking about egos. You know those people in your team that kind of wear the, sad look or whatever on their sleeves? Well, we're here to talk about that today as far as how do we help them and others and ourselves too leave the negative egos checked at the door. When we talk about leading worship, it's not limited to making music alone, but also about the harmony of relationships and also getting the best out of your team. I think about it this way: if we as a team front are leading worship, having our relationships down is solid for the congregation, and especially if we're desiring to reach and build the people of God's kingdom. Everything else will fall if we're not one. So that's really what we're talking about today. So how do we help our teams live out better leadership? I want to give you also a shout out and thanks to those you guys joining us at Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Google, Instagram, all the other ones. And if you have any questions today about today's topic, because I've had a lot of emails this morning about the show, please hit us up on Twitter at WorshipTT or hashtag WorshipTeam hangout. So let's get right to it. Our first question, Tony, it's been a while since we've heard from you, probably about maybe 60 seconds. So let's go to you first. What are some signs of a bad or bad egos in a team?
What are some signs of it? Well, I mean, ego obviously can create a lot of discord within a team, but I don't know if there's one way to quantify it because ego appears in a lot of different ways. There's the easiest people to deal with are the ones who are just bold about their ego. I think the people who tend to be a little more what's the psychological phrase? Passive aggressive about it. That can be more of an issue, but you know, I can save you a lot of time with me on this topic because it's going to come down to a lot of things. Wow.
Please, red pants.
So he just gets up and walks away.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I'm out.
Red pants.
He's back.
So
He's back.
Watch out.
You know, I mean, one of the things I'll always go back to is that whole Matthew 18 thing. Like the issue for me has a lot to do with if you as the leader are in that position and you've got somebody on your team whose ego is presenting a problem, it's your job to go deal with it. And you know, again, this is one of those questions you get like when I'm in a class setting and you ask for Q&A at the end. It's one of those questions that come up. I have this guy in my team who does this, and I can almost always turn around and ask, have you talked to them? And the answer is no.
Right.
That's my first thing, and we can talk about the different types of ego, but that's always my first response is, you've got the job. But here's the other thing I would say. The leader holds also the responsibility of being the ultimate model of humility within your team. So this is something I think you have to do a heart check on first, and how you're presenting yourself to your team, how your ego is affecting. You've got to be that model.
Uh-oh.
It's all right. Continue that. Timmons, to be that model. Where do you stand on that?
No, Tony was right on. And he looks great frozen, by the way.
I know. Isn't that great? Talk about egos.
You've observed in me, put it into practice.
Wait, there he goes again. Now he's talking.
He's still talking.
He's still talking.
Are you guys?
Sorry, buddy, we lost you.
What you saying?
No, don't tell him that. He's still talking.
That's all right. That was brilliant, but sorry.
No, I know we missed it, but keep going. Ego.
Oh, well, I don't know where I left off, so I'll let somebody.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Where did I leave off?
Okay, Timmons. No.
You know, Tony, you were just talking about the leader. It needs to be the leader.
Oh, yeah, but the leader needs to be the one to model that on the team, and so you've got to do that check about how are you modeling humility. And if we want to talk about it, I have what I think are very practical ways you can model humility and start showing your team, you know, ways to be that, you know, you can be humble. But I just think that's
question. Hold on. That's question 2. You're jumping.
Good. All right. Well, I would just okay. Go ahead.
You're good. So all right. So save that, Tony. Save that, and your drink. Timmons, what's your thought? What are some signs of egos? What are some of the things that you've seen that you've had to deal with?
Gosh, I just wrote down something really. Okay, I'll find that in a sec.
Great.
No, I totally agree. I think there are so many times when I've complained about different egos in my world, and I did not do a great job of just going straight at it and going, hey, here's what we need. Here's what's happening. How can we work this through? I didn't do a great job with that. I wish I would have done a better job with that. A few times I tried, because I don't really love conflict. I'm one of those guys that I don't really enjoy conflict. Some guys are like, yeah, I'll lean into conflict any day. I don't enjoy that. I will, but I don't enjoy it. So if there are worship leaders out there like me that are on the edge of people pleasing, this can be a tough one to address.
How do you deal with that?
Well, I think I'm getting better at it, of just kind of leaning in. Again, I've said this on this show before, that Stan Endicott, one of the greatest things he taught me was just that my poop stinks. Like, he literally just has constantly reminded me through our time of mentoring and aiming that I'm just not that awesome. And I think as a leader, the more that I can actually show that and live that, I think it's helpful. I totally agree, Tony, because if I'm not doing that, then it's like a joke. I was with a worship leader the other day that I think has got some pretty strong. I don't know how much he thinks his poop stinks. I think he might thinks it smells pretty great. And the team all feels the same. Everybody's cynical, and to the team really reflects so much of that leader.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, good word. Dwayne, let's hear from you. What are your thoughts on the topic?
Well, I've written down several things, and you guys write down what you guys are saying too. I think you all got some good points. I don't really have this figured out. It's one of those things where, yes, it starts with us. It starts with us. But if we're on the point of signs, I thought about a couple recent illustrations that maybe you can relate to, whoever's listening out there. A guy stopped coming and being a part of our choir, and I didn't understand why, and because he seemed to be so excited about it just a couple months earlier. And so one day I asked him, I said, and I called him by name, and I said, man, we've been missing you. He said, well, choir's really not what I thought it'd be. And I didn't understand. I said, well, what do you think it'd be? He said, well, I thought it would be an opportunity for me to get to sing some solos and things. All righty then. And so that's an obvious moment where we have an ego issue. And the interesting thing is, thank the Lord, God's so good in working on people's part. So you take the time to go, honestly, you probably do need to step out for a little while because that's not what we're about. But he came back last week, actually, came up to me Sunday and said, Dwayne, I realized my motives are wrong. And so see how God can work with it. Isn't that cool? So that was really cool. But to me, it's like, how could you not see that to start with? But anyway, and another thing is...
Hey, Dwayne,
yeah.
what was your response to him? I mean, was that just Jesus going like, hey, I'm going to help his heart, or did you help him through that, or how'd you deal with that?
No, I really didn't, because it was only like 3 weeks ago when he said that to me, or maybe 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't sure how to respond. To be honest, it floored me, because I thought, I can't believe this guy's sitting here telling. I mean, a lot of people may think this, but he actually told me.
Right.
And so it took me off guard so much. I went, all righty then, and I didn't have the great wisdom of what to say. It didn't really come to my mind. I just thought, I really know I don't want to talk this guy into coming back to choir until he sees this. And so he did. Sure enough, he came back. He stayed faithful to our services. He just didn't come to choir for a little while, and then he came back this past Sunday. And I said, and I called him by name again, and kind of, just kind of put my hand on his shoulder and said, man, I appreciate you saying that. I want you to know that it really concerned me when you said that. And there may be opportunities for you. I know you've got a great voice, but the way we have a funnel of leadership development, and the top of the funnel is being a worshiper, which is being understanding humility and understanding you may never get to stand on a stage. Well, go out there and sing in a jail if you need to. Go out and sing. Go sing somewhere else. Go to the nursing home and sing. If you go sing on the sidewalk, if you need to sing. But if you're waiting to sing on our stage, that doesn't work that way. So a lot of times we'll funnel them through the choir or someplace like that, which is kind of humbling for them. Yeah. And he said, yeah, I understand that now, but he didn't understand that.
Interesting.
And what's even, I mean, just as a learning of, we kind of come in expecting that that's what the people will, everybody knows. It's like, this is what everybody knows, but it's almost like that needs to be even more reiterated as part of the entry.
Yeah.
Into anything.
Sorry.
No, just the entrance into anything that we do. There's so many things that we just assume, which can be so dangerous. And I think these are great conversations to remind us of all the things that we just assume. Like that guy that was his assumption.
I know. And it blew my mind, but you're right, Tim. I mean, I should be more careful to express that this is important, that you're not joining our choir in order to get opportunities you join our choir to get to worship God in that setting. And so
Right. I remember a drummer that I had employed for one Sunday, and I talked to him on the phone. He was one of those deals where your drummer lets you know at the last minute. Everybody has that, right? They let you know at the last minute of the week, and because something legitimately came up, so I called up another drummer, and he's like, "Oh yeah, sure." But then his comment was on the phone. He goes, yeah, well, I'll be there, no problem. And then we show up and we meet, and the first thing he says to me when he's in person to me, he goes, just wait till you hear me play. And I was like, okay, Well, that may be the last time that you'll play.
Right, right.
All right, so let's get to question 2. Tony, you kind of preempted this about modeling as far as leadership. Talk more about that. How can worship leaders better model positive leadership?
Well,
or something to that effect.
in this regard, when we're talking about the leader's role, I think it's important to remember that ego is often ego in somebody else is often most noticeable when it conflicts with your own ego.
Totally.
So that's why it's always good to be able to do that kind of check. And I do think there are very practical ways that you can start to address this with your team. And this is a leadership issue, which may not apply to everybody who's listening. But Jesus said, and this was in Philippians, where he said, when you take what you've seen from me and seen me do and learn from me and put it into practice.
Yeah.
And that's something that as leaders we can transfer with our teams. Like they should be able to see take what they see in you and put that into practice. And so I like to give leaders like little practical things they can do. And here's one of my favorites. If you're the leader and all the musical decisions funnel through you, start giving some of that away and letting your team have ownership. Go in this week's rehearsal and just say, hey, bass player guy, we're going to do this tune we've done a million times, but I want to freshen it up. Why don't you come back with an arrangement next week, and we'll do what you think. And he has a responsibility to to understand the strengths of the team, what the team can and can't do, what kind of church you're at. You're not going to do a heavy metal tune in a arrangement in a church that does all hymns, but to give that kind of ownership away and not have all that, I think it's somewhat sinful to be in a room full of creative minds and you have all the creative power and you're not utilizing any of that. So again, there's little ways we can start to check our own ego and put practical things to use that way. And to be honest, one of my favorite leaders is Alva Copeland, who I'm with every Sunday. And I was just this past Sunday, I wasn't even thinking about our topic for today, but I was watching her, and I almost wanted to stop in the middle of the worship set and take a picture and just post it to social media and just say, identify the leader in this photo, because
wow.
She leads this whole choir, this whole the 2 Sunday morning gospel services. It's all her.
Yeah.
And she was standing in the middle of the choir. Like she was not up front. She had built this whole team of leaders so that she was now putting herself back into the choir.
Wow.
And I just saw that image. I'm like, that is such a great model right there, And so she's somebody we need to have on this show, by the way.
Well, let's do it.
But yeah. I almost did that. I almost wanted to stop and take a picture and just do that little Facebook question of, hey, everybody, identify the leader in this picture.
That's awesome.
So that's a big deal.
If she does that again, just text it to me and then I'll post it.
Yeah, okay. But she does that almost every week. I just noticed it this past Sunday. Like that's such a great model for a leader to do. And so I just think that's a big deal that I would just want to get out is you can model this. You need to model this. So do the heart check before you're concerned about somebody else.
Right. Awesome. Thanks, Tony. Yeah, and check it out if she wants to come on for an episode. I think that'd be great to have her. Dwayne, what are some things that we can do to help keep bad egos checked at the door?
I thought about this some, and I think one thing that we can do. Remember the model prayer. Jesus said when they asked him to teach us to pray, he said, "Pray in this manner. Pray like this." I don't think he literally mean pray those words. Now it's fine to do that. But clearly, we don't pray those words every time. Jesus himself, we don't know ever prayed those words again. But it's the manner in which he prays. And the first part of that prayer, there's a whole teaching on this, which I won't get into, about the whole prayer. But let's look at just the first of the prayer. What's the first word of the Lord's Prayer, the model prayer? As that way, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your will be done. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's your. It's all about him. And I didn't come in. And I looked up the word ego because I wasn't really quite sure what it meant. And I know what I've always thought, but according to the dictionary, it means the I, or the self of any person. Now, the second part of the prayer, he focuses on us. Give us this day our daily bread, and it becomes at that point personal. But the first part of the prayer is all vertical, and I think what we need to teach our people is go vertical in your praying. Is we get together, don't start by praying about, we got this big service coming up. Lord, help me with my song. Help me to play my riff. Those things are important. That's the give us this day our daily bread part. But always start your prayers where I doesn't even enter in, and teach your people, myself here, teach ourselves a habit of starting our prayers off all about Him. And God just has a way of taking the focus off and teaching us over time, like that guy I was talking about in the choir. I think God just did some changing in his heart. So I'd say that's one thing that we can do. It sounds big picture. It's really very practical. I love what I learned from Rick Warren out there, and when Tim, you and I were in the same meeting together out at Saddleback. Well, it wasn't quite Saddleback. It was their retreat center. And when Rick sat there and told us, he said, help people form new habits. Replace the old habits with new habits. And this is a good habit to teach your people to start by praying for them, not themselves, but the folks on them, on the Lord. And the other thing, if I can say two things real quickly.
Go quick.
The thing that we're doing in and we love football, because I'm from Alabama, and people don't even know that we're a state a lot of times, but they know we've got football because it's a big deal in Alabama. So I love football. So we use as an analogy football terms. There's a person that stands on the platform that's that's in charge. We call that person the quarterback. The quarterback is in charge. But think about a quarterback on a team of football players. The quarterback doesn't run the ball every time himself. The quarterback passes the ball to other people. And so we say, you're the quarterback of that service. How are you going to plan that service? How are you going to lead that service? As coaches, we help them plan that service. We make decisions off platform. But the coach doesn't make the decision in the game. At that moment, the quarterback has to make a quick decision. Am I going to actually pass the ball to the one the coach wanted me to? No, the opponent fouled that up, or something just happened and it didn't run the quiet way. I've got to make another decision. The quarterback has that decision. But, have you ever played on a team with a quarterback runs all the plays? It drives you crazy. Or they hog the ball in basketball, and you hate that. Teams don't like that. And so what I've tried to do is teach our team that I may be the quarterback in that moment, or I may be the coach, but I'm not the only guy that matters. You may get the opportunity, and be ready if you do, to run the ball and have a point, and we're all one team. And if we'll develop that mentality and that culture, then it's what Tony said so well about the person he was giving an illustration about. She gets it, the team thing, and she's just one part of the team.
Yeah.
Great.
Very good. Timmons, what's your thought on that? What are some things that we can do to check the ego at the door?
Well, that Lord's Prayer thing was awesome.
I love that.
Beautiful. And in that, I think that I've got two thoughts that come out is, seeking first the kingdom of God, right? That's the only thing Jesus talks about, which we all know, which means that my kingdom falls. So it's like putting a check on where's my kingdom. Every time somebody threatens my kingdom, I get pissed. So where's my kingdom being threatened, and how am I continually with other people letting my kingdom die? And I love this. I was talking with a friend this week, and they were just talking about humility, and how they were just reading that true humility is an accurate self-assessment. I loved that. Like, true humility is an accurate self-assessment. So it's gauging reality of here's who I am in some really beautiful ways. I mean, humility isn't saying like I'm an idiot, I'm a total idiot. Humility is just like gauging an accurate self-assessment and then moving through life with that. And with Lord's Prayer, it's really this. My self-assessment is starting with this you, and if it starts with you, seek your kingdom, then everything else works out. So I love that.
Yeah, that's
awesome. Good. You said you had a second thing. Was that it?
No, that was it. Just the humility is an accurate self-assessment. They just go together so well. That's the kingdom.
That word accurate is so strong in that phrase, in that sentence. That's good.
Yeah. Can I add one thing? And I'm just going to give some kudos to Tim there. You better be nodding and not shaking, because I'm about to talk about you, boy. We try to be very careful, artists we bring in. I've worked with a lot of artists over the years. I used to travel full-time, and we did conference ministry, so I've worked with a lot of artists. And we had one guy one time that called up at midnight, called the founder of the conference, somehow got his room number. I don't know how he did that, and woke up his family at midnight, and he was upset. This particular artist, not Tim, some other guy a long time ago, and this guy was upset that he didn't have his chilled water at 40 degrees in his room, and he said it just like that. That's in my rider, and where is it? And it's like, are you kidding? And so, we try to be servants to them, but we look for them to be servants as well. And one thing I love about Tim is his servant heart. And what I want to brag on for just a moment about Jesus about Tim is that we had him in for our worship leader intensive this past year, and our intensive guys and gals loved him. And here's why: not only his talent's so strong, and he just came across so well on our platform, but he hung out with them. He went and ate some ice cream with us. We got kicked out of that restaurant. Remember that, Tim? They didn't want to keep us around. They kicked us out, but Tim just stuck around, man. He just hung out, and everybody just loved him. And then later, we find out through the grapevine, it wasn't like he told us at all. We find out because he said, well, I got to get up early in the morning and do this breakfast with somebody, but I'm going to hang out with y'all. So he did. He stayed till late, and then he got up and drove early the next morning, and he ate breakfast with a very, very well-known artist, but he never even mentioned that part to us. And I'm going, that's what I look for in an artist, and I hope that's what they see in us.
Yeah, that's good.
Can I just add to that the water was in my rider, so by all accounts,
there you go. Didn't mean to talk about that.
The great thing about Timmons is that Timmons can drink any temperature of water because he's so sweet.
But see, now let me say one more thing to that. When a guy comes in like that, it causes me to want to bend over backwards to serve him more.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, guys, we got a time to wrap it up. Unfortunately, this is an awesome talk, man. We got to do another part 3 with Dwayne and have some more talk on this because this is really good. Yeah. So, as always, Tony, thanks so much again for sharing your wisdom and intellect. Appreciate this every other week. Love it. Same for you, big guy. Glad to have you back, Timmons.
Thank you. Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks for being here, bro. And Dwayne, man, pleasure. Thank you so much again for your time and sharing your heart and wisdom. It's awesome stuff.
Thank you for having me. I really, really enjoy it. It's fun.
Yeah, you bet. We're going to do this again. All right.
Dwayne, can I ask real quick? Are you in jail? I'm just looking.
Totally.
I struggle with my backgrounds with you guys. The last time it looked terrible, so I'm in a different room, and it still looks terrible.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I'm struggling.
Yeah. You got 3 pictures now. The warden was good to you.
Right.
Well, guys, be sure to join us next few episodes. We're going to have John Manna come out, worship drummer, and also Rich Kilpatrick. That's going to be a great show. You definitely can't miss that. And, when we're talking about humility and talking about how to deal with our teams and modeling leadership, I come back to transparency. It's so important for the congregation because, as Tony said, we are modeling Christ, and it's not about being perfect, but about being real. And the way that Jesus had revealed himself to us, how do we reflect that back out? There's a lot of wisdom that was shared on the last show that Tony spoke of, and I just love that. So each of you guys, thank y'all so much for sharing your heart. Great to have you today. Guys, again, hit us up at WorshipTT. And as always, join us back at worshipteamtraining.com. We're going to be getting up some new stuff for you on the site, and we also got some new workshops coming and new webinars coming, so please be sure to check those things out and join us back on our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. Great to have y'all folks. Again, may God's blessings flow to you and your worship team, and we'll see you back on the next Worship Team Hangout. See ya.